All right, so let's see if the audio is okay. Yeah, perfect. How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are doing great. I am Dork Radu, and I am back with another daily analysis. As always, starting off with the Forex analysis. And to be more exact, I will start off with Euro USD, where we can see that we have a bullish opportunity. Okay, right here we have a continuation of this overall upwards push with this break of structure right here that left a lot of imbalance behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated auto block that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. We can see that the pullback has been very nice and corrective, almost came close to our first entry, but then reversed. But nonetheless, this setup is still valid. Okay. Next up, we have GBP USD with a bearish opportunity. Okay, this one triggered yesterday, and as we can see, it runs in some nice profits as we speak. Okay, had a pretty beautiful sniper reaction to our entries. So the reason I took this setup is because I saw an impulsive break towards the downside right here. And because after the break, I was able to identify this fair value gap that was lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. Okay, and we can see that both entries got triggered. TP1 was hit on entry number 2. Yeah, like I said, currently running in some profits. So we shall wait and see how this setup will unfold. Next up, we have CHF JPY with another bearish opportunity. As we can see here, we have a continuation of this downwards push with this break of structure here that took price lower and left the imbalance behind. We can see that the daily and the 4-hour are both bearish on the graph as well, which is a great added confluence. We also have a unmitigated auto block right here lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. And we can see that the pullback has also been very nice and corrective so far, which is exactly what we want. OJPY coming up next with a bearish opportunity. This one already triggered both of our entries, and they are running at around break-even price. Okay, as we speak. The reason I took this setup is because I saw a liquidity sweep followed by this very impulsive break towards the downside. Okay, after the break, I was able to identify this unmitigated supply level lining up with this bearish trader order block, and they were both lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. 4-hour is bearish on the graph, and the pullback has also been pretty nice and corrective. Okay, hence why this was also a valid setup. Euro JPY coming up next with another bearish opportunity. Right here we have a super impulsive break towards the downside. After the break, once again, we can see very clearly that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. Right on top of it, we have a bearish trader auto block as well, which is great. 4-hour is bearish on the graph, and the pullback so far has been very nice and corrective as well. And we can see that the price is pretty close to the entry price. Next up, we have USD CHF. Okay, right here, we can see that we have a break of structure with this impulsive bearish leg that broke multiple lows, which is a great added confluence. We can see that the pullback has been very nice and corrective so far, which is exactly what we want. Imbalance was left behind as well because we have this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. We also have these two bearish trader order blocks lining up with the premium area as well. So overall looking very, very promising. Okay. Next up, we have GBP AUD with a bearish opportunity. Right here, we have a bearish shift in momentum. We swept liquidity to the upside with this fake out, and immediately after that, we broke structure to the downside very impulsively. After the break, once again, we can see that imbalance was left behind. We have this unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And the pullback so far has been very corrective because we can tell that the bearish pressure is still on. Okay. Next up, we have USD CAD with a bearish setup. Once again, we have a bearish shift in momentum here. Very clear and textbook liquidity sweep, followed by a super impulsive break towards the downside. Okay, we can see that this bearish leg right here once again broke multiple lows, which is a great added confluence. After the break, a very clear imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this huge fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4-hour is also bearish on the graph, and the pullback has been very corrective as well. Okay, So definitely a valid setup. Odd CHF with a bullish opportunity. Right here, we swept liquidity, and immediately after that, we broke structure very impulsively to the upside with this bullish leg. After the break, we can see that imbalance was left behind very clearly. We have this fair value gap here, lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And the pullback has also been very corrective so far, okay, which is exactly what we want. So yeah, respecting all of our rules. Odd USD coming up next with another bullish opportunity. Okay, right here we can see that we have a bullish shift in momentum because we swept liquidity to the downside with this fake out here. And immediately after that, price broke structure to the upside super impulsively with this bullish leg. And we can see that it broke multiple highs. Okay, it even broke these highs from here with this bullish leg. So definitely a great confluence. After the break, we can see that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. Right below it, we have two bullish trader order blocks as well, lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range. The 4-hour is bullish on the trader graph, and the pullback so far has been very nice and corrective, which is exactly what we want. That's always the final step, basically, looking for a corrective pullback. AUD CAD with another bullish opportunity, okay, pretty similar to the previous one we just discussed about. We have a very impulsive break of structure to the upside that broke multiple highs, okay. After a break, imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with this bullish trader order block, and they are both lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph, and we can see that the pullback is looking very nice and corrective, which is exactly what we want. NZD USD coming up next with another bullish opportunity, okay. Right here, once again, we have a bullish shift in momentum. We swept liquidity, and immediately after that, we broke structure very impulsively to the upside. After the break, imbalance was left behind. We have this beautiful fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. We also have this bullish trader order block lining up with the point of interest, which is a nice added confluence. And we can see that the pullback has been very nice and corrective, okay. So yeah, and lastly, for our Forex analysis, we have USD JPY with a bullish opportunity. So right here, the reason I took this, I would consider taking this setup is because we have all this imbalance right here that I think could get filled, okay? So if we get a corrective pullback, we will definitely get involved in this buy limit here on USD JPY. So to recap why we have a potential setup here, very simple. We have an impulsive break right here, okay, with this bullish push. After the break, we can see that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. We can also see that the daily is bullish on the trader graph, which is a great added confluence. And the pullback has also been pretty corrective so far, okay, which is great. So yeah, that's why this is a valid potential setup as well that we could trade. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's Forex analysis right here. As always, if there's any other questions, you should reach out on Discord. Now I will go over today's metals analysis, as always, starting off with gold. And on gold, still, I cannot see any new setups, unfortunately. And because of that, I'm just keeping it simple and I'm just moving on to the next asset, okay? Because y'all already know, whenever I don't see a clear setup, I just move on to the next setup, to the next asset, okay? There's no point for us to force anything. But on silver, we can see that we have a very nice looking bullish opportunity, okay? So right here, we can see, we can see that we swept liquidity to the downside with this fake out. And immediately after that, we continued this overall uptrend with this bullish leg, with this impulsive bullish leg that broke structure and took price higher, okay? Then what I saw after the break is that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest, which is a great added confluence. We can also see that the daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph. And now the last thing that I am waiting for is a corrective pullback towards the fire zone, okay? And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's metals analysis right here. And as always, if there's any further questions, you should reach out on Discord. And now I will go over today's indices analysis, starting off with US 30, where unfortunately I wasn't able to identify anything. We can see that the price action looks pretty choppy, I would say. We have a lot of wicks, a lot of indecision. So because of that, I'm just going to wait for a clear break either to the up or downside. And from there, we would possibly be able to look for a setup. On SPX, we already know that we had that super beautiful setup playing out perfectly, the buy limit that we had and smashed all the targets on both entries. But now on SPX, I cannot identify another setup. Yes, the price is looking very bullish, okay? But right here, there's no valid bullish range that we could trade, okay? And lastly, on S100, unfortunately, same exact story over here as well. No setup was found on S100. We can see that the price has been pretty choppy this week. Okay, so we have sideways movement. Okay, we have a lot of wicks to the up and downside, a lot of indecision. So once again, what I want to see from here is a clear break either to the up or to the downside with some strength. Okay, and from there we would then for sure be able to identify a setup. Okay. And yeah, as always, we just keep it simple. If there's a setup, we take it. If not, we keep it simple and we move on to the next asset. Okay. Yeah, on that note, we'll end today's indices analysis right here. As always, if there's any further questions, you should reach out on Discord. And lastly, I will go over today's crypto analysis, starting off with Bitcoin, where unfortunately, although price is very bullish, I am not able to identify a valid bullish range that we could trade. Okay, and because of that, I'm just gonna leave the chart as is. Okay, and wait for some fresh structure to develop. On Ethereum, same exact story. Okay, we can see that price slowed it down here at this 4K level, and currently I'm just waiting for it to do a aggressive move either to the up or to the downside, and from there I would potentially look for a setup. Okay, Dogecoin though left a bullish opportunity behind. Okay, as we can see, this one is looking very clear. Like I said, I'm always looking for a clear direction, and we can see that here on Dogecoin we have this clear and aggressive break of structure to the upside. Okay, that left all this imbalance behind. Okay. It also broke multiple highs, which is a great added confluence. I was also able to identify this unmitigated order block that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. We can see that the daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph. So yeah, the last thing that I am waiting for now is a corrective pullback towards the fire zone. But nonetheless, it looks pretty promising, this Dogecoin setup. Next up, we have XRP with another bullish opportunity. Right here, we have a bullish shift in momentum. We can see that we swept liquidity right here with this fake out, and immediately after that, price showed its true intentions by breaking structure super impulsively to the upside with this bullish leg. We broke the swing high here as well, which is a great added confluence, and we can see that the pullback is looking perfect so far. Okay, very nice and corrective, which is exactly what we want. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph, and we can see that I was also able to identify a fair value gap lining up with these two bullish trader order blocks, and they are all lining up perfectly with the point of interest of this bullish range. So yeah, this is a very good looking setup, I'm not gonna lie. And lastly, we have Solana, and on Solana, although the price looks very bullish, okay, I wasn't able to identify a bullish setup here, a bullish range. And yeah, because of that, once again, I'm just leaving the chart as is, and I'm just focusing on the assets or pairs where we actually have a setup, a valid one. Okay, and yeah, on that note, we'll end today's crypto as well as the overall daily analysis right here. As always, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the dork side. Take care.